When you look at these forgotten wartime tools, it's hard not to feel a sense of respect, not just for the objects themselves, but for the people who relied on them. These weren't high-tech gadgets or luxury items. They were lifelines, forged in times when failure simply wasn't an option. Every dent, every scratch, every patch of worn metal tells a story of resilience, of families who endured freezing nights, empty shelves, and endless uncertainty, yet still found a way to keep going. And here's the truth. History has a way of repeating itself. Comfort, convenience, and constant power are illusions that can disappear in an instant. When that day comes, the people who thrive won't be the ones with the fanciest gear. They'll be the ones who know how to turn the simplest tools into survival. If you've made it this far, you're not just curious, you're someone who thinks ahead, who understands that preparation is not paranoia, it's wisdom. So don't walk away from this video without taking the next step. Hit that subscribe button right now, because the next video could hold the one piece of knowledge you wish you had before disaster strikes. Be ready before you have to be. Your future self will thank you. Number 1. Hair clippers. In a collapse, haircuts might seem like the least of your worries, until weeks turn into months, and long, unkempt hair starts to become a real problem. In history's worst crises, from wartime camps to remote frontier settlements, keeping hair short wasn't just about looking neat, it was about hygiene, morale, and even safety. Lice, fleas, and other parasites thrive in dirty, overgrown hair, spreading disease quickly in crowded shelters or camps. Soldiers and prisoners alike learned that staying trimmed could mean staying healthy. Manual hair clippers, the kind barbers used before electricity became standard, don't need batteries, cords, or charging. Just a steady hand and a little practice, and they'll give you a clean, quick cut anywhere, anytime. Unlike scissors, they cut evenly without much skill, and they're faster, which matters if you're trying to avoid sitting still for too long in unsafe conditions. In a barter economy, these clippers could be worth far more than their size suggests. Imagine a community where no one has had a haircut for months. Offering haircuts in exchange for food, supplies, or protection could turn a simple tool into a steady source of trade value. For parents, keeping kids' hair short also reduces maintenance and keeps them cleaner with less water. Durability is another big advantage. A quality manual clipper can last decades with basic care. Just clean the blades and keep them oiled. They're small, portable, and can be stored for years until needed. Even if you don't plan on using them regularly, having one tucked into your emergency kit means you're prepared for the long haul. In a world without power, the little things that keep you clean and comfortable become priceless. A manual hair clipper isn't flashy, but when survival stretches into the long term, it's the kind of tool that turns necessity into opportunity. Number 3. Pest street rips. In a collapse scenario, pests won't just be an annoyance, they'll be a threat. When sanitation systems break down and food is stored in makeshift conditions, insects like flies, mosquitoes, and cockroaches can explode in number. They're not just irritating. They're carriers of disease, capable of contaminating food and spreading illness rapidly in cramped living spaces. This is where pest strips become an unexpectedly powerful survival tool. Originally designed for farms, warehouses, and military storage, pest strips work by releasing a slow, steady vapor that kills or repels insects over an extended period. They're lightweight, easy to hang, and can protect an area for weeks without any electricity or constant maintenance. In wartime field camps and disaster relief zones, pest strips were often hung above food supplies, latrines, and sleeping areas to keep insect populations under control when sprays and professional pest control weren't available. The value of pest strips in a crisis comes down to disease prevention. Insects can carry bacteria like Salmonella, E. coli, and even parasites. Keeping them away from your food prep area and living space isn't just about comfort, it's about stopping outbreaks before they start. They're also incredibly discreet. Unlike flypaper or sticky traps that need frequent replacement, pest strips can be tucked out of sight and left to work silently for weeks. This makes them ideal for situations where you want to reduce waste, limit visible clutter, and save your energy for other survival tasks. In a barter economy, pest control will quickly become high value. A single pest strip could protect someone's food stockpile or sleeping space for a month or more, making it a trade item with real health and comfort value. In survival, it's not always the big tools that keep you alive, it's the quiet, forgotten ones like pest strips that guard you from threats you can't see until it's too late. Number 3. Pest street rips. In a collapse scenario, pests won't just be an annoyance, they'll be a threat. When sanitation systems break down and food is stored in makeshift conditions, insects like flies, mosquitoes, and cockroaches can explode in number. They're not just irritating, they're carriers of disease, capable of contaminating food and spreading illness rapidly in cramped living spaces. This is where pest strips become an unexpectedly powerful survival tool. Originally designed for farms, warehouses, and military storage, pest strips work by releasing a slow, steady vapor that kills or repels insects over an extended period. They're lightweight, easy to hang, and can protect an area for weeks without any electricity or constant maintenance. In wartime field camps and disaster relief zones, pest strips were often hung above food supplies, latrines, and sleeping areas to keep insect populations under control when sprays and professional pest control weren't available. The value of pest strips in a crisis comes down to disease prevention. Insects can carry bacteria like Salmonella, E. coli, and even parasites. Keeping them away from your food prep area and living space isn't just about comfort, it's about stopping outbreaks before they start. They're also incredibly discreet. Unlike flypaper or sticky traps that need frequent replacement, pest strips can be tucked out of sight and left to work silently for weeks. This makes them ideal for situations where you want to reduce waste, limit visible clutter, and save your energy for other survival tasks. In a barter economy, pest control will quickly become high value. A single pest strip could protect someone's food stockpile or sleeping space for a month or more, making it a trade item with real health and comfort value. In survival, it's not always the big tools that keep you alive, it's the quiet, forgotten ones like pest strips that guard you from threats you can't see until it's too late. Number 4. Rubber door street oppers. In normal life, a rubber door stopper is just something you use to keep a door open while carrying in groceries. But in a collapse, this small, inexpensive item can become an unexpectedly valuable survival tool. When power is out, security is uncertain, and you're living in shared or temporary spaces, controlling how and when a door moves can mean the difference between safety and danger. Rubber door stoppers work on a simple principle: friction. Wedge one firmly under a door, and it becomes much harder to force open from the outside. In a crisis where locks might be broken or unreliable, a stopper adds a crucial layer of passive defense. They're silent, unlike makeshift barricades, and can be set in place or removed in seconds. This makes them ideal for situations where you need to secure a room quickly without drawing attention. They're also incredibly useful for the opposite purpose, keeping doors open when airflow, movement, or access is essential. In hot climates with no electricity, propping a door open can help with ventilation and cooling. During evacuations or supply runs, they can hold doors wide while you carry heavy loads in and out, saving precious time and energy. Because they're small and light, you can carry several without adding bulk to your gear. In barter situations, their practicality becomes obvious, especially for people living in crowded shelters, makeshift hospitals, or repurposed buildings where doors are constantly opening and closing. A single door stopper can mean privacy, security, or comfort in an otherwise chaotic environment. Durable rubber versions can last for years without cracking, and they work on most surfaces, from tile to concrete. In a world where every ounce of control over your space matters, a humble rubber door stopper can quietly become one of the most useful pieces of gear you own. It's proof that in survival, it's often the smallest tools that make the biggest difference. Number 5. Eyeglass repair kits. For anyone who relies on glasses, a broken frame or missing screw can turn a normal day into a crisis. Now imagine that happening during a collapse, when opticians are closed, stores are empty, and replacements are impossible to find. An eyeglass repair kit, something most people overlook, suddenly becomes the difference between seeing clearly and struggling to function. These small kits typically include tiny screwdrivers, replacement screws, and sometimes nose pads or a small magnifying glass. In peacetime, they're used to fix loose hinges or replace a lost screw. But in a survival scenario, their importance skyrockets. Clear vision isn't a luxury, it's essential for reading maps, aiming a weapon, repairing gear, or spotting threats in the distance. During long-term emergencies, glasses will inevitably get dropped, bent, or worn down. Without the means to repair them, someone's ability to contribute to survival tasks could be severely limited. That makes these kits not only a personal necessity, but also a high-value barter item. People will trade food, fuel, or other supplies for the ability to restore their vision. The beauty of eyeglass repair kits is their size and durability. They're compact enough to fit in any pocket or emergency bag, weigh almost nothing, and can last indefinitely if kept dry. The tools inside can even serve secondary purposes. Tiny screwdrivers can adjust small electronics, fix watches, or tighten other precision gear. In a collapse, the smallest tools can have the biggest impact. An eyeglass repair kit might seem insignificant now, but for someone who can't see without their glasses, it could mean the difference between independence and helplessness. Stocking a few of these kits now ensures that when the world gets blurry, literally you'll have the power to fix it. Number 6. Hand fans. When the power goes out in the middle of a summer heat wave, staying cool becomes more than a matter of comfort, it can be a matter of survival. In a collapse scenario, with no air conditioning, no ceiling fans, and no refrigeration, heat stroke and dehydration become real threats, especially for the elderly, children, and those doing heavy physical work. A simple, non-electric hand fan, a tool that has been used for centuries, suddenly regains its value. Long before electricity, hand fans were a primary means of personal cooling across the world. They're lightweight, portable, and require no fuel or batteries, making them reliable in any situation. In survival conditions, a hand fan can help regulate body temperature, prevent overheating, and reduce sweat loss, which is crucial when water supplies may be limited. They're also more versatile than they appear. A strong burst of airflow from a fan can help start a small flame when fire starting in low wind conditions. In areas with insects, waving a fan can help keep flies and mosquitoes away from your face and food. Foldable fans take up virtually no space in a pack, while larger, sturdier fans can be improvised from cardboard, plastic, or woven materials. From a barter perspective, comfort items quickly rise in value during prolonged hardship. In overcrowded shelters or hot, stagnant environments, the ability to cool down even slightly will be in high demand. Offering hand fans in such conditions could trade for food, clean water, or labor. They also have cultural resilience. Many traditional fan designs are made to last for years with proper care. Unlike modern gadgets, they don't break from a single drop or lose effectiveness over time. In survival, the difference between barely enduring and maintaining your health often comes down to the simplest tools. A hand fan won't just keep you cool, it can keep you functional, focused, and ready to act when the heat becomes your enemy. Number 7. Steel wool. Steel wool might seem like nothing more than a stubborn cleaning pad for scrubbing pots, but in a collapse, it transforms into one of the most versatile tools you can own. Made from fine, interwoven steel filaments, it's lightweight, compact, and surprisingly multifunctional qualities that make it a quiet survival powerhouse. Its most obvious use is cleaning cookware, especially when water is scarce. Steel wool can strip off burnt food, grease, and rust without the need for harsh chemicals. This not only keeps your gear usable longer, but also reduces the risk of bacteria buildup on cooking surfaces. But its survival uses go far beyond cleaning. One of the most valuable is fire starting. When paired with a simple battery like the kind from a flashlight, steel wool can ignite instantly. The thin strands heat up and burst into flame when an electrical current passes through, making it an excellent backup fire starter in wet or windy conditions where matches might fail. Steel wool can also be used for pest control. Mice and rats can chew through wood, plastic, and even some metals, but they won't gnaw through steel wool. Stuffing it into cracks and entry points helps seal off your shelter or food storage from infestations. In a barter economy, a small bundle of steel wool can be incredibly valuable. It's cheap now, but in a world where keeping cookware clean, pests out, and fires lit is a daily challenge, it becomes a multi-purpose item worth trading for food, tools, or other supplies. Durable, light, and endlessly useful, steel wool is proof that in survival, it's often the simplest, most overlooked tools that make the biggest impact. In the right hands, this humble scrubber can help keep you warm, fed, and safe. Number 8. Empty pill bottles. Most people toss empty pill bottles in the trash without a second thought. But in a survival situation, these small, durable containers can become incredibly valuable for organization, protection, and trade. Designed to keep medicine safe from moisture, light, and contamination, pill bottles are naturally built for long-term storage qualities that make them perfect for repurposing when supplies are scarce. One of their biggest advantages is portability. Their compact size makes them ideal for carrying small but vital items, matches, fishing hooks, sewing needles, water purification tablets, seeds, or even spices to improve bland survival rations. The child-resistant caps also help prevent accidental spills, keeping your supplies safe during travel or rough handling. Because they're waterproof and often opaque, pill bottles protect contents from both weather and UV light. In rainy or humid environments, this can mean the difference between dry, usable matches and a useless, soggy mess. For seeds, spices, or small medical supplies, that kind of protection extends their shelf life significantly. They also have medical value even when empty. In a barter economy, someone might trade for them to store their own medication or organize their first aid kit. In fact, having a way to portion out and safely transport medicine could be a lifesaver for someone with a chronic condition. Customization is easy. Pill bottles can be labeled with permanent markers, wrapped in duct tape for extra waterproofing, or color-coded for quick identification. They're small enough to tuck into backpacks, glove compartments, or even pockets without adding noticeable weight. In a crisis, keeping your essentials organized and protected can mean the difference between having them when you need them and losing them entirely. Empty pill bottles may not look like much now, but when chaos hits, their ability to keep small items safe and secure will make them worth far more than their humble appearance suggests. Number 9. Garden kneeling pads. At first glance, a garden kneeling pad seems like nothing more than a comfort item for weekend gardeners. But in a survival situation, where every task is done by hand and often on rough or frozen ground, these simple foam pads can quickly become an essential piece of gear. Originally made to protect knees from damp soil and sharp stones, kneeling pads drastically reduce strain when you're planting, weeding, or repairing things close to the ground. In a collapse, you might spend hours working on a makeshift garden, fixing low parts of a shelter, or even butchering game on the ground. Without protection, the constant pressure and cold can cause bruises, joint pain, and even infections from cuts or scrapes. The value goes beyond gardening. Kneeling pads can double as lightweight insulation when sitting on cold or wet surfaces, keeping body heat from leaching away. They can serve as a clean surface for sorting seeds, prepping food, or organizing small tools in the field. Some survivalists even cut them into strips to use as padding in backpacks or to wrap around fragile gear. Because they're made from dense foam or rubber, kneeling pads are waterproof, easy to clean, and incredibly lightweight. They don't wear out quickly and can be stored for years without losing shape. In barter situations, the comfort and injury prevention they offer can make them surprisingly valuable to anyone doing manual work outdoors. Small enough to strap to a pack or tuck under an arm, a garden kneeling pad is one of those "why didn't I think of that?" items, cheap now, priceless when you're spending long days on hard ground. In survival, saving your knees might just mean saving your ability to work another day. Number 10. Ice cube trays. In everyday life, ice cube trays are nothing special, just a way to make cold drinks more refreshing. But in a collapse or long-term crisis, these simple plastic or silicone molds can become surprisingly valuable, far beyond their original purpose. One of their most useful survival roles is portion control. Ice cube trays can be used to freeze or store small, measured amounts of food, broth, or cooking oil when refrigeration or freezing is still available, helping stretch supplies over time. Even without a working freezer, they can portion out dehydrated meals, dry mixes, or medicinal herbs for organized storage. They're also perfect for making barter-sized portions of high-value goods. In a post-collapse trade system, items like melted soap, beeswax, or even homemade fuel blocks can be poured into ice cube molds to create small, consistent trade units. Their uniform size makes them easy to pack, store, and count during exchanges. In hot climates, if you have limited freezing capability from a solar or generator-powered freezer, trays allow you to make small ice portions that melt slower in drinks or coolers, helping keep perishables fresh longer. Ice cube trays can even be repurposed as seed starters for gardening. Fill each compartment with soil, plant seeds, and when they sprout, pop them out and transfer them to larger containers or garden beds. The uniform cells make it easy to manage many seedlings in a small space. Lightweight, stackable, and requiring no maintenance, ice cube trays are easy to overlook, but in a survival situation, their ability to measure, store, and portion resources can be a game changer. In a world where efficiency and organization can mean the difference between thriving and barely surviving, these humble trays could become an unexpected survival asset. When everything we take for granted disappears, survival stops being about what's shiny or expensive, it's about what works. The truth is, the tools that will keep you alive often aren't the high-tech gadgets everyone rushes to buy, but the quiet, everyday items most people throw away without a second thought. Rubber door stoppers, garden kneeling pads, eyeglass repair kits, hand fans, steel wool, empty pill bottles, ice cube trays. None of them look like survival gear now, but in the right moment, each one can mean safety, comfort, or even a life saved. History has shown us that it's the people who prepare with creativity, not just money, who come out ahead when the world changes. If you've watched this far, you're already thinking differently. You're looking at the ordinary and seeing opportunity. That mindset is your biggest survival tool. So don't let this just be another video you scroll past and forget. Start setting these small, overlooked items aside now, before they're impossible to find. And if you want more ideas like this that will give you an edge when everything else is gone, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Because the next video might be the one that gives you exactly what you'll need most when the time comes. Stay ready, stay sharp, and never underestimate the power of the little things.